As Formula 1 tries to rescue its 2020 season, Silverstone has emerged as a keen ally in the bid to hold as many races as possible. The British Grand Prix venue has offered to host more than just its own F1 round this season. Circuit boss Stuart Pringle even said that trying to hold a Grand Prix on a reverse circuit layout is, quote, not such a silly thought. Silverstone says nothing's off the table. So what would the track be like in reverse, and what's actually stopping it from becoming a reality? Well, instead of just wondering, we thought we'd try to find some conclusive answers to both of these questions. So one of our Formula 1 journalists, me, Scott Mitchell, fired up the official Formula 1 game F1 2019 to do exactly that. We reached club in 8th gear at almost 190 miles per hour. And the first thing to note, if we're imagining this is the start of the Grand Prix, is that the crowd is very close on the outside. Okay, speeds wouldn't be so high on the first lap, but the grandstands would surely need to be moved back. As for the corner itself on a flying lap, we need a quick downshift as the car is flicked in, and then it's just about scrubbing off as much speed as possible as the corner tightens and tightens. It's a devilish left-hander, but fortunately there's plenty of runoff on the outside if you get it wrong. And believe me, we did that plenty of times. In this direction, Vale becomes a crest that hides our view of Stowe, which is as tricky in reverse as it is in reality. Its blind entry gives way to a long and open corner, which is still 170 miles per hour on the way in and has a geometric apex that clashes with just how wide the corner is and the speed we need to take onto the hanger straight. There's a gravel trap on the exit, but it's only very short and there's no protection from the barrier there either. Heading down the hanger straight and approaching Chapel at more than 200 miles per hour, we can leave the DRS open for the easy right before hitting the brakes and churning down through the gears. The speed of arrival probably necessitates some tech pro on the outside. If you look to the right, there's lots of runoff, but no protective barrier before the Armco. Such is the nature of a reverse layout, cars are not meant to be able to crash into the barriers from this direction, and this is a theme that runs throughout this lap. Maggots and Becketts are relatively straightforward, and even in this direction have a nice flow. And although the barrier comes up quite rapidly on the right hand side as you exit the complex, this doesn't feel too problematic. But the same can't be said for the next corner. We're now building speed and snatching 8th gear on the run to Copse, which quite frankly is terrifying in reverse. All of the runoff is on the right hand side as we reach the corner at almost 200 miles per hour on entry, and even a small lift and a downshift to 7th makes us wince as we run right up to the grass on the exit. The lack of runoff and protective barriers are begging to be addressed in modern times, as that wall is going to be really unforgiving at these speeds. The charge down to Luffield highlights the woodcut left-hander as a slight concern. Now, like in reality, this is barely a corner, but the natural line in this direction takes us close to the barrier on the left-hand side, and while it curves inwards as we round the corner itself, there is a small bit of barrier jutting out again, which raises at least one eyebrow. Clearing Woodcut takes us to Luffield, which is an ultra-fast approach in 8th gear and very inviting to attack. This could be the track's only real overtaking spot, as the circuit is quite wide here and will involve an outside line as the runoff and curb lets us open up the entry, potentially leaving the door open on the inside. There's plenty of gravel on the exit, but again, as the cars are approaching at such a high speed, surely more measures will be required, particularly further around the corner. Brooklands is an odd corner in reverse. A bit like Stowe, it requires patience on entry before widening massively on the exit. But the runoff on the outside doesn't pose much of a problem here, and as the DRS is working perfectly in reverse, we can then open the rear wing for the run down to Aintree, which is now a spicy right-hander. If this reverse track ever made it to reality, then like at the end of the hanger straight, the DRS position would probably have to move. But we're rolling with it for now because it's working and, quite frankly, it's adding to the challenge. Once the car is flicked right, flat out, we're almost straight on the brakes for a big stop at the loop, down to 2nd gear. And as you can tell, this is a really fast entry and it looks incredibly unforgiving on the left hand side. That would almost certainly have to be addressed in reality. Out of the loop, we're back up to 3rd gear for Village, which is a relatively routine left-hander, but we probably could have taken this faster. Then it's back on the power and easily riding out the undulation through the farm suite to the last corner of Abbey, which has a couple of little surprises in store. First, there's a lovely little bump on the apex as you flick left, and then a rapidly approaching gravel trap on the right hand side. But if you keep out of that, you then have a quick, short blast to what would be the finish line. Silverstone is one of the greatest laps of the season, and in reverse it is tremendously fast with a nice flow and plenty of challenges. In qualifying, the spectacle would probably be phenomenal. But it's difficult to see where the overtaking places would be. The extended track has been designed to bunch up the cars in the right places and complement the pre-existing overtaking spots. In reverse, the high-speed parts of the track launch into difficult and rapid kinks, and there aren't really big stops that facilitate overtaking. Much more significantly, there are many problem areas from a safety point of view. It would need considerable investment in gravel traps, extended runoff, shifted grandstands and new Tech Pro barriers to have a chance of satisfying the FIA's safety requirements. And in all likelihood, this would be prohibitively expensive. But according to Silverstone, never say never, and if it happened, it would be a sight to savour. So without further delay, here's an uninterrupted flying lap of the British Grand Prix venue in reverse. Hopefully you've enjoyed our exploration of a backwards Silverstone. Please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you did, and let us know what you think about the reverse layout or any other tracks you think might be fun the wrong way around in the comments below. But please, go easy on my lap. After all, I'm just a journalist.